Hello again and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse and I am back for another bonus video for you guys again today. Probably going to release this either tonight as I'm recording this, Thursday, or on Friday, because I have a lot of other videos that I also want to get out to you guys, but I have to talk a little bit about this one. This isn't your regular channel update kind of blabbering, topic video. But this time I want to talk a little bit about the recent announcement of some Valve hardware. Of course, Valve being the folks that make Steam and the Steam Deck, and they used to make video games, but not quite as much as they used to. Hopefully that turns around sometime soon. But yeah, so Valve, there's been rumors about different pieces of Valve hardware, new controllers, possibly a new VR headset. But people really weren't sure what was going to happen. And earlier this week, they did an announcement here. And I have the Steam page loaded up here. I have NVDA. We're going to take a little quick peek at their little unveiling announcement. And then we're going to go into, I'm going to look up a little bit of information about each of the new devices. So let's just go ahead and hit play here.
Hey everyone, this is Steam Deck.
Chat.
Steam Deck is our powerful, portable,
Okay.
handheld gaming PC that lets you take your Steam library with you anywhere.
I've
We're
got
pretty
one of
proud
those.
it. People who own Steam Decks have been playing everywhere, and we couldn't be happier with the response we've heard from all of you.
It's pretty
We're
good.
excited to talk about the future of Steam Deck, but not today, because this isn't a video about the future of Steam Deck.
Nope.
This is a video about the future of Steam hardware. Today, we're announcing 3 new members of the Steam hardware lineup. All connect you with powerful PC gaming. All are optimized for gaming with Steam, and all are shipping in early 2026. Let's start with this one.
Prepare the wallet. The Steam controller version 2. Looks more like a
This
traditional
is the new
controller
Steam controller.
with some additional
The new
touchpads on the
Steam
bottom.
controller puts all of your Steam games at your fingertips, so you can play wherever and however you want.
See, I want
Just
it
like with
to-
Steam Deck, we want you to be able to play any game
I
with
want
your
to get a
Steam
good
controller,
angle of the
even
controller.
games never
here.
built with a
Balatro.
controller in mind. It has all the great features from Steam Deck, like trackpads, gyro, and back buttons, all in a comfortable form factor. Its next-generation magnetic thumbsticks let you play with improved respacefiness and longevity.
Yay, no
We've put-
stick drift. Okay,
It
so
works with all your favorite.
come
it works
on.
with all your
Oh.
favorite desktop and
okay, I thought I could hit spacebar. Can I back up?
6.
Oh, not with NVDA running. Hopefully we'll get another. Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
together and can be used
So spacebar jumped me way ahead. Hang on.
in your games. So you can
So I had to click.
Pro controller in mind.
Here we go.
All
Sorry
in a
about that,
comfortable form
guys.
factor. Its next generation magnetic thumbsticks let you play with improved responsiveness and longevity. We put capacity.
Okay, so I clicked it here. Okay, so it basically looks like an Xbox controller or a Switch Pro controller. And you have dual analog sticks this time. Yay! And I like that it has the you've got a D-pad, and you have 2 touchpads, one on the left and one on the right below where your analog sticks are. Now, interestingly, they are going for more the PlayStation style controllers with the parallel, I forget what they call it, like the parallel analog sticks, where the Xbox One, you have the left analog stick is a little bit higher up and then the lower on the right. I find I feel that especially when using dual analog sticks, I like the Xbox controller better. But especially with that extra kind of chunk on the controller toward the bottom, I think it won't matter as much because there's a little bit more controller, so your thumb won't have to bend as much. But yeah, otherwise it looks just like kind of a regular controller, and you've got your touchpads like you have on your Steam Deck.
touch sensors on the thumbsticks and now on the back of the controller too, so you can enable precision gyro aiming with the touch of your thumb
gyro
or your
aiming,
pinky
that's
if you're feeling
interesting.
fancy. Play for way too long with a rechargeable lithium-ion battery that allows for over 35 hours of playtime.
All right,
With
that's not
Steam
bad.
Controller, we want to make charging and wireless pairing something that's actually easy. That's why we created the Puck. The Puck is a combination wireless adapter and magnetic charger included with every Steam controller.
That's cool.
Snap it on to charge. Once you're charged up, snap it off again. You can play over Bluetooth or a wired connection too. The new Steam controller works with any device running Steam or Steam Link, whether it's a PC, Mac, handheld, smartphone, Steam Deck, or the new Steam Machine. Oh, this is the new Steam Machine.
Yeah, here we go. Here's the second of 3 hardware announcements. It's basically a cube. Remember
Steam
the Apple
Machine is a
Cube or
powerful
it
gaming
looks almost
PC
like a
in a small
GameCube
but mighty
size.
package, designed for your games on the big screen. It's quiet too, which is crazy since it's 6 times more powerful than a Steam Deck, powered by a discrete, semi-custom AMD GPU, enabling 4K gaming at 60 frames per second.
I'm
with
an
FSR.
NVIDIA guy, or
Steam
NV
Machine runs SteamOS
NVIDIA
made for a
guy.
bigger screen, built for
But-
gaming in your living room, your office, or wherever you play, with the rest of your PC accessories. Steam Machine borrows some great features from Steam Deck, like lightning-fast sleep and wake, an SD card slot to easily expand your storage, and brings some new tricks of its own.
Now that I like. The thing that we're going to run into both with the VR headset and the Steam Machine here, too many devices are foregoing expandable storage, tablets, phones, even fewer ports on computers. And I love the fact that both of these devices have micro SD card slots, and I'll talk more about that later.
Zone, like a customizable LED strip, which can show different system functionality.
Now that's cool because it looks like they have you see how the bar kind of grew, so you could be like downloading something or whatever. You could get you could just look over and look at like a progress bar. So that's kind of a neat touch. It'd be interesting to see what sort of things that people will do with that.
Or your own light show. Steam
Yeah.
Machine is a PC, so run whatever software you want, and it works.
Now, it is a PC, but it runs SteamOS and Linux. So unfortunately, especially as far as accessibility is concerned, I know there are screen readers for Linux, but for somebody who is used to, Windows Magnifier, Narrator, NVDA, having those types of things just, readily available, we'll have to wait and see if Valve adds further. I really, really hope that they add like a full screen magnifier, especially for their store interface and things like that. But like I said, you can go out to the Linux desktop and then you can, run whatever you want, do whatever you want with it. But of course, people have to know Linux for that.
Works with all your favorite desktop and gaming accessories. Steam Machine is designed to work hand in hand with the Steam controller, with the low latency, wireless connectivity of the Steam controller puck built right in. And it's great for streaming your games to your phone, tablet, laptop, Steam Deck, or Steam Frame. Oh, yep, this is Steam Frame.
VR headset. It looks pretty slick too.
Steam Frame is Valve's next generation VR hardware. Stream all your Steam games, VR and non-VR alike, in this comfortable, lightweight, wireless.
And that's the thing. When I've watched a couple other little bit of videos, and I'll talk about a little bit later, but the headset itself looks pretty light. It sounds like it's a little bit lighter than the Quest 3. And they put the battery on the back of your head so that you don't have all that weight pushing down on your nose. I'll get more into kind of my thoughts on the overall design and attention to detail on things after this video. But I mean, it's clear they did some thinking, not just like, oh, we took a look at the original Steam controller. We took a look at what's working with the Steam Deck. We're taking a look at what people liked and didn't like about the Valve Index headsets and things. what other people like Meta is doing with their Quest.
VR headset. Steam Frame uses camera-based tracking, so getting into your games is as
Same as
easy
the
as slipping
Quest.
on the headset and waking it up. Steam Frame controllers, included with the headset, are designed with all the inputs you need for your VR titles, like motion controls and capacitive.
So, okay, that's a okay angle. Yeah, they really almost look like the Quest 3 controllers. Again, I really love the fact that we've ditched the those little circle things that the Quest and the original Oculus controllers had, because it just added so much more weight and bulkiness to them. But I mean, you've got analog sticks on both of them. You've got your face buttons on the right. You got a couple. You got one or two buttons there. You got your, looks like, trigger and grip button, and on your left one you got analog stick. And it's a little hard to tell at this angle what's on the left one, but yeah, I mean, they look pretty comparable to something like you would get on the Meta Quest.
Tracking for all your fingers, as well as a split gamepad layout to work with your whole Steam library. They even feature the same magnetic thumbsticks as Steam Controller for responsiveness and longevity.
Good.
Steam Frame also pairs seamlessly with the new Steam Controller, a great companion for playing non-VR games in the headset. To make
Makes
sure
sense.
streaming is smooth and stable no matter what, Steam Frame.
So you get a USB, looks like a USB-A dongle. Looks like a big old thumb drive. And this is supposed to, like, and this is what I read and I heard later. And I don't know, I forget if they go into the detail here, but basically you have two Wi-Fi bits to the headset. You have your Wi-Fi for gaming, like if you're doing and downloading and internet things, that'll connect to your regular router. But ultimately, you probably want to use this dongle because this is a straight up Wi-Fi 6 sort of self-contained thing where all it's going to do is it's going to try to pump the audio and video from your PC to your headset wirelessly, and it skips your router altogether, so there's one less jump in, like going from device to device, so there's less latency. And especially in VR where, motion sickness and lag and everything is important. Yeah, this seems like a really elegant, just again, plug and play, plug it into your PC, download a VR compatible game on Steam, fire up ye old headset and stream it over.
Includes a wireless adapter that lets you stream your games from your PC to your headset over a fast and dedicated Wi-Fi 6 connection. And the game is streamed to your frame optimized for VR, using new technology that allows for the highest resolution streaming exactly where your eyes are looking. And Steam Frame is a PC, running SteamOS. In addition to streaming, you can install and play a bunch of VR and non-VR games right in the headset without a host PC. You can also expand your onboard storage to fit even more games with a micro
Yay,
SD
micro
card.
SD. Smart.
Steam Controller, Steam Machine, and Steam Frame. All built with the same DNA as Steam Deck. All powered by Steam, work together, and can be used however you'd like with whatever peripherals and accessories you choose. Everything you see here is the culmination of what we've learned from our previous hardware experience and what we've wanted ourselves as gamers. Powerful PC gaming in an open ecosystem, giving you more ways to enjoy the games you love and discover new ones. Steam Controller, Steam Machine, and Steam Frame are all shipping in early 2026.
Prepare
Learn
thy
more
wallet.
at steampowered.com/hardware.
Fair enough. Yeah, it looks slick, man. They look really nice. They look really polished. You're just kind of doing a little sizzle reel of the controller and the headset and the machine. And okay. Are those buttons or is that a D-pad on the left one? I'm trying to. Again, I didn't get the good. Oh, okay. It looks like it is a D. Ooh, it looks like it is a D-pad. So yeah. So it's basically looks like the minus the square touch pads. It's basically like your Xbox type of controller layout, just split, which can be really comfortable too. because you can have your hands down on your sides if you're playing a non-VR game or something you don't need motion. Okay. Yeah, it looks pretty sweet. Doo -doo -doo -doo. And there you go. That is your Steam hardware unveil trailer. So here's the thing. Before we look at, I want to fire up NVDA and I want to look at specs a little bit because from what I've pieced together a little bit so far, I haven't had time to do too much research. Sounds like the Steam Machine is going to be roughly maybe around specs wise as maybe an Xbox Series S, maybe a tiny bit bigger. I don't know if it's going to be as much as a Series X. So it's going to be around the first generation is going to be current generation, which is sort of interesting. Because we're looking at, potentially Microsoft and Sony are already talking about new hardware in probably 2027. I'm secretly hoping that gets delayed or postponed because like I've said before, guys, like I'm perfectly fine with the way things are. And I think this whole generation has been just so weird in general, especially with exclusives and those going away and just AAA becoming the dumpster fire that it is become in so many ways. That it just, I don't know, there's just something that feels off about this generation. Yeah, we've had some good games, but I don't know. It just, what you would, I mean, I guess, the landscape of gaming has just changed so much in the last, 5, 10 years, but even the last, since the pandemic started 5 years ago, people are playing free to play stuff. They're playing, I mean, I've been playing indies for ages, but, I mean, I think people are just, I mean, how many layoffs have we had? How many closures? How many game cancellations have we seen in the last few years? Buyouts, mergers, closures, layoffs, all that crap. And a large bit of that, yeah, we've had some indie and double A kind of stuff too, but so much of that is, your traditional, what you think of as your triple A big budget games. And so what's really interesting, and that does fit into what Valve is doing here, because you have these pieces of hardware, unless you're playing really high-end demanding titles, you got a lot of people playing Fortnite, which is not all that demanding. You got a lot of people playing other free-to-play stuff. You've got people playing games that they've played for years just because they've been playing the same multiplayer game with their friends for however long. I think, and in a way, I'm kind of hoping for this, is that we're not seeing as much focus on like needing to target, oh, we got to make things for the best hardware possible. Yeah, I know id still did that with their ray tracing requirement for Doom the Dark Ages, which is unfortunate because I think even without ray tracing, I think it would look amazing. But for the most part, like I said, unless you're playing a few key titles, um, developers are kind of trying to start targeting like, well, we still got to support the Series S for Xbox. We want to target all of these new PC handhelds that are coming out, not just the Steam Deck, but like, the ROG Ally, I mean, there's literally probably a dozen of those things out there now, a dozen different Steam Deck style handhelds. The Switch took off, and then it's like, oh yeah, hey, who would have thought a portable gaming system that can play, a lot of your traditional games? That's a good idea. Um, and so I think Valve's in a really interesting spot because how many times in the last couple months during update videos have I talked about Microsoft, and I don't think they understand what an Xbox is anymore. I don't think they know what they want to do anymore. They got the third party, they're partnering with Asus for their Xbox Ally thing. They're looking at new hardware, but then they're like, yeah, but everything is an Xbox. You can play it on your phone, you can play it on your computer, you can play it on your dishwasher, whatever. Um, it's weird. And even with the ROG Xbox, it's kind of interesting because they have a start for making kind of an Xbox interface for Windows computer, but it's still everything that I've heard from people who have those devices. It's like, yeah, it's probably better than Armory Crate, but it's not. It still needs a lot of work. There's still focus loss issues. There's still weird glitches. There's still crashes. There's still just, there's still Windowsy things. And if you really want to consoleize your hardware, your PC hardware, especially to make it good for and easily usable and understandable for, not a techie, just your average Joe gamer or someone who's new to gaming or whatever, you have to make that really work fluidly and consistently. So I'm going to fire up NVDA here. And I just want to see, I have not looked at this page yet, so let's see what we got here.
Optimized for gaming in
I'm going
any
to cheat
form.
and use my mouse to
And
hover.
follow Steam hardware for updates, news, and launch information. Follow.
I might do that in a little bit.
We're family of Steam. We're besties. We may be new, but it's like we've known each other our whole lives. All Steam hardware works great together, whether you're streaming or playing games across devices, including Steam Deck. And because Valve remains committed to an open PC ecosystem, we also play well with others, as in, your other devices.
Right, so you got your headset there, you got your
Family of
Steam
Steam
Deck,
hardware
you got your
product.
controller, you've got the Steam machine.
We are made for Steam and Steam OS. All of our hardware is Steam first, and built to work seamlessly with Steam. Steam Deck, Steam Machine, and Steam Frame all run Steam OS, Valve's operating system optimized for gaming. It's designed to provide a plug-and-play user experience, while still retaining access to the power and flexibility of a PC.
And that's what gives me both a little bit of hope and a little bit of, caution, because again, in June, they did start including some accessibility features on the Steam Deck. I did a video about it. They're hopefully going to be updating their Steam desktop client as well to be more accessible. So we do have a basic screen reader, and it does work on your, the dashboard pretty well, the settings and stuff, but kind of just like the Nintendo Switch 2, it doesn't really work natively on, if I'm using the Steam Deck, let's say, and I want to browse games in the store. You can go through your library and everything okay, it seems, but you can't really quite get through the shopping part. Now, you do have ways around that. You could use the Steam mobile app. I don't know if the Android one is TalkBack accessible. There's a little bit of weirdness to the iOS one. They still need to fix some things. But their iOS app is reasonably accessible if you're willing to explore a little bit. So like you could buy your games on the Steam app, or if you just go to your computer and go to steampowered.com, the website there is actually pretty screen reader friendly as far as buying things, because I use it for a couple of tasks like adding videos to my Steam library once I unlock them on YouTube and doing a couple other things. So even if the store is a little bit glitchy to start with, whether you have a Steam Deck or whether you have a Steam machine, or potentially even the Steam headset, Steam Frame, even has some screen reader in it, and some things don't work, there are ways to get around the purchasing part. And they say they're committed to accessibility. They have that accessibility thread. In that video, I believe I left a link to that thread where people can look and add their own suggestions and requests for accessibility features on Steam hardware and software. So, if it's all running Steam OS, and we already know that the Steam Deck has a screen reader, and if the Steam controller, even in the VR one, if that's got a D-pad on it, in theory, depending on how they design their interface, you might be able to use your analog sticks or D-pad to navigate some of your initial UI before you get into a game. Again, maybe looking at your friends list or browsing your library, installing a game, adjusting settings in the settings app, whatever it happens to be. So I'm kind of curious, there might actually be a level of accessibility, and if they're actually targeting it where, you can use the Steam frame with the VR controllers or your regular Steam controller, that would to me mean that, okay, it should at least allow some D-pad and analog stick navigation, because if I'm just using a Steam controller and not motion controls in my VR controller separately, that should go a long way to, basic level of blind and low vision accessibility, because even in the Meta Quest, problem with the Meta Quest is it's got a screen reader in it, but everything is still laser pointer focused, and so you have to have some vision, and there are places where I even still have trouble because the pointer is so small and some of the icons are small and can be far away. But you still, in your dashboard, you still have to do everything with a pointer interface, even though, there are analog sticks on that on those controllers. You still have to do a pointer. So it's going to be virtually impossible, especially with how tiny some of those icons are. It is absolutely not blind accessible for the Meta Quest. But this does have some potential.
Ahead of launch, we are expanding our Deck Verified program to include ratings for Steam Machine and Steam Frame, so customers can understand how their games will run on these new devices.
And I like, at least for now,
expanding our Deck Verified.
I like for now that they're targeting, they're like, okay, we have basically one spec for Steam Deck, whether it's the original or the OLED, it's pretty much the same hardware minus a couple little tweaks here and there. So when developers design games and they say, this is Steam Deck verified, you might have to do a little bit of tweaking sometimes, but generally they're trying to optimize for that one spec. Same thing with the Steam Machine. I don't think you're going to have, you might have different storage options during purchase, but I don't think we're going to have this one has a better processor, this has more RAM. I don't know if they're going to do that tiered thing. I think they're going to try to keep it straightforward and simple, because this is again, these types of devices could be potentially really good for, you boot right into SteamOS and you're treating it like a console. You have access to the Steam library that you already own, or if you're new to PC gaming, you've always been a console gamer, and you want to get into PC gaming, but you don't really want to have to deal with Windows and all the compatibility things. I mean, there's Linux and whatever for SteamOS, but if you're just put into this, I don't want to say a skin, but if you're, this launcher, this, like a kind of a Steam big picture mode, essentially, which is like a TV mode. It's basically consoleizing the PC. So I think they're doing some smart stuff here. And like I said, Nintendo's doing their thing. They've got their exclusive software, and we'll see what third-party support ends up being. Microsoft, God only knows what's going to happen to them in the next 3 years or so. Um, again, they're trying to spread their library. They got Halo releasing on the PlayStation. Gears and Forza are coming to PlayStation. So they're just like, please play our stuff anywhere. Yeah, we're going to maybe make some new hardware, but I don't know. We're just going to release stuff and jack up the prices so for everything. I don't know. So I think, the timing wise on this, I think the Steam Deck, or not the Steam Deck, but the Steam Machine and the headset is really interesting because again, you look at VR, Meta is going in, like they do games and stuff, but their whole, um, Meta's all about like, oh, well, what if we, everything has to be the metaverse. It's not just games, but like, what if you went to a meeting in VR or you hung out and you wore a headset all the time or you're going to live in the metaverse and like, with the headsets, the battery and the weight and everything. It's like, don't get me wrong, I love virtual reality, but your average person isn't going to do that. And Valve is just like, yeah, you know what? We're going to be about games. You got your Steam library, you got a shit ton of games, some VR, some not, and we're going to all run the same operating system. And it's just going to, again, I like the fact that you can take your SD card, pop it out of your Steam Deck, pop it into your Steam machine. And again, with games becoming as big as they are, just being able to pop out that expanded storage, and maybe I have an SD card for shooters, maybe I have one for racing games, maybe I have one for a certain series, or maybe I have one that's just as, like for me, that I play some visual and some blind accessible games. Maybe I have an SD card that is just, I build up my blind accessible library. I can put Mortal Kombats and The Last of Us's and Brock the Investigator and all of those. I could put those, and just have like, think about cartridges again, except I can put a bunch of games on one cartridge. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of smart what they're doing, I think. So I'm going to go into my Chrome here, and I got a PC Gamer article, and I think they have started releasing some of the specs, which I have not looked at. We're going to scroll down. This page is on the Steam machine,
PM 11/13,
and I want to go down. So we've got a table here.
CPU, AMD Zen 4.
So AMD Zen 4, I don't keep up with AMD. I'm more of like Intel and Nvidia. I know Intel's got its issues, but I've talked before on the channel about weird issues I've had with him building AMD machines in the past. But again, since this is integrated hardware and it's it's all together, the Steam Deck is AMD, so it's been running fine.
Cores Threads, AMD Zen 4.
So Zen 4, that's a pretty new processor, I think.
612 Cores Threads.
Cores.
RAM, 16 GB.
Now 16, that I think is a little low. If anything, I would have gone 32. Now, 64, maybe if you want to overkill it. But again, maybe, I don't know. I haven't followed too closely as far as how does a game perform in Linux or on SteamOS versus the same version running in Windows on the same spec. Maybe if you don't have a lot of that overhead Windows bloat and you're just running the stripped down SteamOS thing, maybe your 16 gigs of RAM can go a little bit further. But especially, again, if you want to make it a little bit future proof so it lasts at least a couple of years, we're starting to see games for recommended specs require 32 gigs of RAM, or say, hey, you can get by minimum with this, but you really might want to have 32. So I kind of wish that had 32, to be honest.
Semi-custom AMD RD GPU, semi-custom AMD RDNA 3.
So RDNA 3, again, I'm not quite sure as far as in AMD. I don't know what their latest is.
Compute unit 28. VRAM 8 GB.
I've seen a little bit of hubbub about this. This is another one where I want to say, God, I'm trying to remember what mine is. I don't remember if it's 8 or 12 because on my RTX 4070 Ti, I'm trying to remember how much VRAM it has. I know it doesn't have 16. I know that for a fact. I don't remember if it has 8 or 12. Because that was what I was debating when I was debating between the 4070 and the 4080. And the price and the availability, I didn't want to pay for the 4080, and the Ti sounded like a reasonable compromise. But some people are saying again, just like the regular RAM being 16 instead of 32, you maybe could have gone with 12 VRAM for a little bit of wiggle room there.
8 GB RAM storage, 512 GB, 2 TB.
Okay, so you can choose. Okay, so they do have two choices, or at least two choices. 512 up to 2 terabytes. I mean, 512 seems small. I think they should have just gone 1 or 2 terabytes because 512, I mean, come on, man. You get your operating system and you get like 1 or 2 big games on there, and that's like half of your hard drive. Now, I know you can use SD cards, but still.
Storage, wireless connectivity, Wi-Fi 6E2X2, Bluetooth.
Okay, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Display, DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0.
Okay, so HDMI and DisplayPort.
2x front I/O. 2x USB 3.0 Type A, front, micro SD card slot.
Okay, SD card slot right on the front, that's good.
Rear I/O. 2x USB 2.0 Type A, 1x USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C, 10 Gbps, Ethernet, 1 Gbps.
Okay.
Price. TBC.
Okay, so they haven't announced a
Steam
price
Machine will
yet.
be released at some point in 2026. We don't know pricing yet, but with older, mid-range components and Valve's own success with the budget-friendly Steam Deck, I'm hopeful for a convincing price tag here. There's a big gap in the market for a genuinely affordable gaming PC.
Yeah, and that's the
and
interesting thing, with Microsoft raising their prices, Sony raising their prices in some areas, Nintendo raising the price of the Switch 1 of all things. I would love to say with these specs, because they're good, but they're not like earth-shattering. They're not like, oh, we're going to future-proof this thing so you can probably run, PS6 games on it. But anything indie, anything, again, they said it's 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck runs a lot of stuff. So, I mean, it's no slouch. I mean, I would love to hope for maybe let's say a $600 price, but if I had to guess, I'm going to say I'm going to say anywhere between 700 and 1,000. Just because everyone's charging so much for things. I would love to be wrong. I would love, let's say the 512 gig, if that would come in at like even 600, and maybe the 2 terabyte one, you jumped up to like 7 or 720 or something like that. But I have a feeling, especially with, I mean, Valve is doing some nice stuff, but they're still a company, and even though they have more money than God at this point, I just have a feeling they're not going to be like, nah, we're not going to sell this for too low. But those are the specs for the Steam machine. And like I said, I watched this Giant Bomb video where they went to Valve and they had several interviews with people about the controller, the machine, and the frame. And like I said, the attention to detail, one thing I will give Valve is whether they're making a game or hardware or whatever it is, they
2x USB 2.0 Type.
they have an attention to detail that I really appreciate. And they're coming at it from yes, they're doing it for money, of course they are, but you can tell just by like, talking to them or like listening or watching these interviews, the people that are doing this, they have this attention to detail because they want to make something cool that they want to use, that other gamers want to use. And they said they took feedback, like in the interview about the controller. They're like, yeah, we know, it was maybe a little bit, the first Steam controller had, it had some unique ideas and it did some things really well. And we were looking at it from one perspective where we probably should have looked at it slightly from a different perspective or a different angle. But they took that, and again, for what it looks like, it looks interesting. People who have tried it said that it feels comfortable, and even like I said, when they're making games, you compare like Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 to Back 4 Blood. I know you had, what was the name of the studio that made Back 4 Blood? I can't remember the name. Turtle Rock, I think. They did some things that I like. There were parts of that game that I did like, but Back 4 Blood just did not have, I didn't like the card mechanic near as much. I don't think that really needed to be there. And there was something that they didn't quite have some sort of Valve polish or some sort of, zazz that, like, I don't know, like you look at Half-Life, you look at Left 4 Dead, you look at Portal, they're really, really well designed. And the way they're thinking, like when they were talking about the Steam machine here, I thought it was really fascinating because they're like, I talked in when I paused the video about they have, they're having, like on the Steam machine, I think they have two different separate Wi-Fi things so that it's like one is specifically for controllers and one is for, internet traffic. And there's just other little, I forget even what they were, but there was this little attention to detail that I appreciate. And then their VR headset, it's like, oh, yeah, we're going to use this dongle. And if you use that, you don't have to, but if you do, you have a designated exclusive wireless channel that's going to feed you your game audio and video. And then if you need to do any sort of internet multiplayer or connectivity things, that stuff will go through your regular Wi-Fi connection through your router. And even they were talking about how they were designing the sound and the speakers, and they were talking about, well, the problem with it, you get this compact design and you get this wire interference, and so they were designing the speakers a certain way, and it's just, there's a lot of detail. Like they really thought this through. This isn't just a cash grab. It just seems well designed. So let's take a look at, I have another tab up here, Steam Frame.
Steam Frame.
This is from
VR Compare. Steam Frame.
So VR
Steam Frame.
Compare, I don't know about this site, but I just pulled up some specs here.
Steam Frame.
So
manufacturer. About.
Okay, so you have a okay, so you got the C.
Manufacturer.
Valve, yeah.
Steam Frame. A virtual reality.
Right.
Manufacturer. Website. Device type. Platform. Announced. Release date. Retail price.
Do we have a price? Nope, we do not.
Optics. Pancake lenses.
Okay, I think those, I'm trying to remember if those were the ones that the original Quest had or the new ones. I forget.
This headset does not require external base stations. This headset.
Yeah, so this is a standalone device as well, just like the Quest 1, 2, and 3. You can use it with your PC, but you can install stuff natively on it because it's its own, it's got its own little processor. It's basically a SteamOS computer in a VR headset.
Retail price. Optics. Ocularity is the number of eyes a headset is intended to be used. Binocular can be viewed with
See,
IPD range.
IPD range.
Adjustable diopter. Prescription lenses sold separately. Hardware adjustable.
Yeah, so it's got
70.
a little adjuster like the other headsets do for ocular
Pass-through.
stuff.
Dual 1280x 1024 grayscale cameras.
Right. I mean, my friend I was talking to him a little bit earlier about this. So interestingly, they chose to go for a little lesser cameras, which is sort of unfortunate. But yeah, they're going grayscale black and white instead of full color. But, you know, I mean, you're going to be primarily, it's not meant for augmented reality or mixed reality as much. They're designing this for VR gaming and such. So
2x LCD.
Okay. Oh, they're LCD, so they're not even OLED. Okay, that's interesting. I wondered if they were going to go OLED.
Subpixel layout.
Subpixel.
Subpixels RGB stripe. Subpixels per pixel.
So I don't understand what all that means.
Peak brightness. 2160. Resolution. Refresh rate. 144 Hertz.
Okay, so you want 90, I think, minimum for smooth VR performance.
Visible FOV. 1. Horizontal. Horizontal. 110.
110. I think the original Rift was 9. No, was it 90? I don't remember. No, I don't remember what the original Rift was.
Rendered FOV.
So some of this stuff they don't have
Pixel
yet.
density is the number of pixels. Highest density point. Foveated rendering.
Foveated rendering is on.
Dimensions.
Dimensions, yeah. Let's see if it.
175 x 95 x 110 millimeters without head strap.
Huh. Okay.
Weight.
Yeah. How weight?
185. Without head strap. G. 440. With head strap.
Okay, so they give it with and without head strap.
Material. Material. Plastic. Fabric facial interface.
Okay.
Head strap. Hard padded retractable strap.
Yeah, and I think it's got the battery in the back of it, like
Haptics.
I said.
Haptics. Black.
Okay.
Colors. Compliances. Tracking type. 6-2F inside out via 4 integrated cameras.
Okay, so it's got 4 cameras. Yeah, so it's like, it's nice because you don't have to have cameras or base stations or lighthouses, as they called them for the original
Tracking frequency.
In Valve headsets.
Tracking frequency. 200 to 250 Hertz. 200 to 2 are required base stations. Base stations.
Yep, base stations. You don't need them. Yay!
Eye tracking.
So eye tracking is a
Face
thing.
tracking.
Face tracking is a thing.
Face tracking.
Oh no, it isn't. Okay, that's the one that's
Hand
not.
tracking.
Head tracking, yes.
Body tracking.
Body tracking, negative. Okay.
Controllers. Steam frame controller.
Yeah, those are those two-handed Steam controllers.
Wait. Controllers. Without battery. 130G.
Okay, without
Input
battery.
methods. Face buttons. Joystick index trigger. Middle finger trigger. D-pad.
Yep, so that was a D-pad on the left.
Finger tracking. Full thumb and finger tracking.
Yep, I remember them mentioning that in that Giant Bomb video. So they're carrying over some of the like finger stuff that they eventually did for the Index, just making it more efficient.
Finger tracking is the ability of a device's haptics.
Yep, haptics is yes.
Batteries. Hour battery.
Double A.
Hour battery life. Hour battery life. 40.
40 hours battery life, okay.
Speakers. Integrated stereo speakers.
Right, and I'm sure there's a headphone jack.
Microphone.
Oh, microphone.
3.5 millimeters audio jack.
Oh, there is not a headphone jack. That's interesting. I think you're going to have to probably do Bluetooth if you want to do headphones. That's interesting.
Ports. USB Type-C.
Okay.
Wired video.
No wired video ports.
Wireless video. Wi-Fi streaming. Foveated streaming.
Yeah, so foveated streaming, that's a term that they use for like they don't render the entire screen the same. They try to look at what you're looking at and then render that part of the screen sharper and then not have to render the rest of it quite as sharply.
Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi 7.
Oh, Wi-Fi 7.
Wireless adapter. Wi-Fi 6E.
Oh, okay. So they're future-proofing that a little bit. You'll probably be able to buy a Wi-Fi 7 adapter eventually.
Bluetooth 5.3.
Okay.
Operating system.
Steam
OS 3.
Yep.
Large Linux based.
Right.
Chipset. Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3.
Okay. So that's an ARM processor, I think.
CPU.
It doesn't have the specifics.
GPU. Memory.
16
GB.
Okay, 16 gig.
Memory. Storage. 256 GB.
Owie.
1 TB model also available.
Wow, the fact that they don't even go 512 as a base, 256 just seems wrong. You know, it's one thing if you're getting a computer and you're going to be just doing like office work and surfing the internet, but if you're designing a headset for gaming and media, you kind of want to have a decent amount of storage. I mean, again, it does have an SD card slot.
Storage. SD card slot.
Yeah, so that's a check mark. Yeah, so that's at least good, but they should have gone at the very least 512 and 1 terabyte, not 256. That's cheaping out a little bit.
Battery capacity. 46 Wh.
Okay, 46 watt hours. That's a pretty big battery.
Battery life.
So they don't have an estimate for battery life.
Charge time. 45 W charger.
45 watt charger. So
disclaimer, the information on this table may not be 100 correct.
Yeah, because it's all in
Steam
flux right now.
Steam Frame has a resolution of 2160
all right, so that's
2100.
basically the specs of the Steam
clickable store
headset.
Exit NVDA dials.
And the and the controller, the Cube, and the VR headset. So again, I think Valve is actually pretty smart. They're not pricing this. I mean, it's regardless, it's not going to be an Apple Vision Pro fiasco. They're not going to charge. I would be pretty confident in saying, you know, maybe the 1 terabyte version, maybe you're going to pay $800,000 for it on the high end. But even then, you're not going to probably pay $3,500 because they want to make this, I think, you know, a lot more appealing to a mass user. Like, they're designing this, they're making these things to be for the end user, whereas Apple is like, yeah, we made this kind of gimmicky. We won't even call it a VR headset because we're too proud to do that. It's what do they even call it? Spatial computing headset. It's not virtual reality. It's not mixed reality. We have to be different and claim we invented something we didn't. But like, they basically released a really, really high-end developer tool to the public and seeing how many people bid on it. And apparently not too many, because I don't think they've sold a lot of those. But like I said, just with the way that the industry is right now, you have Microsoft in just going in all kinds of weird directions. We got to cram AI into everything. We're going to jack up the price. We're going to buy a bunch of companies and we're going to lay a whole bunch of people off. We're going to raise the prices of our systems, of our Game Pass, of our services. We want to make our own hardware, but yet we claim that everything is an Xbox when it really sort of kind of isn't. And I think, you know, again, with all these companies getting these big layoffs and everything, and I don't know how some of these companies, if they can sustain development the way that they have been for the last, 20 plus years. I would love to see. Not every game has to be photorealistic or the biggest open world imaginable. I mean, especially with so many games coming out every day as it is. I was just talking to a friend before recording this video, and I'm like, I just barely started Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. I barely started taking a look at Outer Worlds 2 to look at accessibility. These are big RPGs that, even though they're probably not as long as some traditional RPGs, they're still long enough. And who knows if and when I'm going to have time to frickin' play them. I would love to get back to Ninja Gaiden 4. And that's probably even less time to beat that one than the other, than the two RPGs. But there's just so much. And if a developer is going to spend 5, 6+ years creating each one of their games and then charging 70, 80, $90 for it, plus season passes and DLCs and cosmetics and any other way they can find a way to monetize you, like that bubble has to burst. That bubble has to burst soon, because we're already seeing people getting screwed over that are making these games. And so I would love for things to kind of take a step back and go, hey, we've got all these. Not everybody goes out and buys a $3,000 high-end gaming rig and a 4K monitor. A lot of people play on 1080p. A lot of people play on 1440. We've got all these handheld devices, the Switch 2, the Steam Deck, all these Windows devices, and who knows what else will come out. And now we're going to have, this, I would say mid to higher range cube Steam machine that I think might play pretty well in a living room setting. I would love to just see the focus be put back on innovation and gameplay and fun, and not about the absolute most detail we can wring out of a GPU or how much monetization we can attempt to players. I don't know that I would necessarily get a Steam machine. If I traveled a lot, I would definitely consider it, especially if I, traveled where I would use computers a lot more, because I do have a Steam Deck and I have a Switch, so that, works pretty well for me already. I might pick up a Steam controller though, just to try that out. And, with the dongle and the dedicated Wi-Fi and the fact that hopefully the Steam VR piece, the Steam Frame, if that has a basic screen reader in it, and I can just go, I already own a lot of VR games or games that support Steam VR on my computer, so if I'm able to just play those on my Steam frames, that might not be a bad thing, depending on how much it is and the level of accessibility. I would love to try it out. I would love to have a contact to Valve. And, I'm not a privileged person to get review hardware all the time, but, I would love to either help beta test, or I would love to, when the products come out, I would love to do an accessibility review of all of these different pieces of hardware. The controller, the machine, and the frame. I would love to check them all out, but I think Valve is doing something pretty smart here, and this looks like they've put a lot of thought and detail into it. So don't have a price, we don't have a release date, and I think that's really going to make or break it, is how popular it's going to be, is with the tariffs and everything else going on and the price of all the competitors. Where are they going to price it? Are they really going to be aggressive, or are they going to be, well, if everyone else is charging this much, hell, we can crank up the prices? But even the Steam Decks are pretty affordable, so I'll be very interested to see how this pans out next year. But it's definitely something else to look forward to. So that is some initial thoughts and an overview of the new Valve hardware coming up. And the funny thing is, people are talking again about, I've also heard a lot of rumors about a new Half-Life game, whether it's Half-Life 3 or some other thing. And for the most part, I've pretty much come to the realization many, many years ago that we're very, very unlikely to get a new VR game. But then they did surprise us and gave us Half-Life Alyx for VR, which I still have yet to play. And especially if I got the new VR headset from Valve, I would be tempted to check it out. But the thing is, I actually am I'm not putting any hope into it, and I'm not really expecting anything. But it wouldn't surprise me as much if Valve sometime in the next few months said, yeah, we are making another Half-Life game, and it's going to be either it'll be a VR game or it will be a flat screen game to take advantage of the controller and the Steam machine, because especially if you watched, I believe it was NoClip's recent documentary on Half-Life, which is very interesting, by the way. If you have any interest in Half-Life, check that out. But they talked to Gabe and they talked to a lot of people at Valve, and even them, that they've kind of come to the realization over the years that, yeah, maybe we were a little bit too precious with we were trying to, everything has to be an innovative, a brand new thing, and we shouldn't just do a story if we don't have any new, really unique gameplay innovation or hardware to sell it with. And they know that people want to continue the story, and if they have good gameplay ideas, as long as they have some, gameplay ideas that can work, whether it's a regular controller or a keyboard and mouse or even the VR controllers, I think they almost seem like they were more open to be like, yeah, we used to make games and that was kind of fun. So I do hope they get into that, and I think there is at least a little bit stronger of a chance than a snowball's chance in hell that there could be a Half-Life game eventually. But yeah, I mean, with Valve, I hope they continue down their improvement of adding accessibility to their hardware and to Steam itself, whether it's Steam OS or Steam for Windows, their Steam iOS or mobile apps. And this is something that I will definitely keep an eye on, because I'm rather curious and I have a lot of money invested in Steam. My Steam library is obscenely large, so the fact that I could get any of these new pieces of hardware and just be like, oh, it's not like starting from square one. I can just log into my Steam account and I have literally thousands of games I can play. So there you go. That is some thoughts and overview of the new Valve hardware announcement. I hope you guys found it interesting, helpful, informative, whatever. Hope you liked the video. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, Blue Sky at Illegally Cited, illegally-cited.com, and of course right here on YouTube. Until next time, I will chat with everybody again later.